Hi friends, we will talk about a range of questions around childbirth. Some of the usual are like promise of childbirth or the denial of childbirth, then the normal delivery or the various complications related to the childbirth, infertility, abortion, stillbirth, and last but not the least, the gender of the child. There seems to be a lot of questions. However, there is a certain simplicity to Krishnamurti Paddhati. KP framework can make life easier for you as an astrologer. You will see how these questions, and these are many questions, so how these questions can be methodically approached and analyzed in Krishnamurti Paddhati. First, we'll discuss some rules related to the various questions that I just mentioned. And then we will take a look at this, the example horoscope. For privacy reasons, I have not given the birth data. So let's start with the childbirth promise, whether the childbirth is promised or not. Now the rules in Krishnamurti Paddhati are, or the houses that are 2, 5 and 11. Fifth house is the main house. So the significator of 2, 5 and 11 together promise a childbirth according to Krishnamurti Paddhati. Second means addition of a new family member. Fifth is the primary house for the childbirth. And then 11th is the fulfillment of desires. 11th house is also a house of physical affinity for the couple. And the fruitful signs are Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. This is important because when you are analyzing childbirth in Krishnamurti Paddhati, then the fruitful sign and the barren sign that you have to remember. So the fruitful sign are Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. And Jupiter is called the Santan Karak. Many times you will read that it's called as the Putra Karak, but this word, the Putra Karak word, sounds very male chauvinistic. So I would rather use the word Santan Karak. So Guru is the Santan Karak. Now let's look at the childbirth denial. And so what are the rules? This combination 1, 6 and 10. This, 1, 4 and 10. So this combination indicates denial. When the planets are signifying 1, 4, 10, then they tend to deny the childbirth. And the barren signs are Aries, Gemini, Leo and Virgo. These are the barren signs. And according to Professor Krishnamurti, these planets, Ketu, Mars, Rahu, they cause one or the other issues during the time of childbirth or even pregnancy. And these are said to be abortive planets. So when we discuss the example horoscope, we will see the role of these planets. And why 1, 4, 10 is taken? It's very easy because the first house is the first house is 12th, or it negates the second house, and then the fourth house negates the fifth house, and the 10th house negates the 11th house. So 1, 4 and 10. This is for the denial of the childbirth. Now if you read the standard Smoothie rule, then you will see that the Cusp sublord of the fifth cusp. That is where the whole story of analyzing the chart starts. That the fifth CSL, fifth cuspal sublord should be a significator of 2 or 5 or 11, right? So this says childbirth is promised. But in many of my videos, you might have noticed that I have pointed out about the vulnerability of the cuspal sublord, because they are very sensitive to the time of birth and the cuspal sublord changes very fast. So this is something that in my experience I found to be not very reliable. Even in this horoscope, which belongs to one of my friend's daughter, at the time of sending this chart, she mentioned to me that this has a very accurate birth time. So I'm assuming that is going to be a very accurate. But let me show you what these cuspal sublord does. This is the chart for the actual birth time, 6:55 p.m. and just 1 minute prior to 6:55, which is 6:54 p.m. This is the cuspal sublord position for 6:55, and this is for 6:54. Now, if you look at how in 1 minute span the sublord has changed, then only you will come to appreciate that how sensitive these sublord is, and then you should also start asking the question that should we be relying on the cuspal sublord. And when I usually talk about the reliability of the cuspal sublord, I usually mean the birth horoscope, not the horary. In the horary horoscope, you should make use of the cuspal sublord. Always make use of the cuspal sublord in the horary, Krishnamurti horary. But in the birth chart, you can see that what kind of issue this creates. Now, if you look at the fifth cuspal sublord here, at the time that she mentioned, 6:55, it is Mars. And then at 6:54 p.m., you see how this changes. At 6:54 p.m., just 1 minute difference, and it has changed to Moon. And few more cuspal sublords have also changed. You see, this has changed from Mercury, this has become Saturn. This we just spoke that this has changed. This has also changed, right? And even the 11th, this has also changed, which is going to play an important role in the case of childbirth questions. That has also changed. So for this reason, the cuspal sublord rule is not very reliable in the birth horoscope, and we should just stick to the horoscope, the cusp horoscope, without caring much for the cuspal sublord. And then on top of it, if somebody is born in let's say Navi Mumbai, and when they send the chart, and they will mention the place of birth as Mumbai. Now Mumbai, it basically means maybe the main the downtown Churchgate or VT area is not the Navi Mumbai. Latitude, longitude changes, and with that the degree of the ascendant might change, and then the cuspal sublord might change. So there are a lot of issues regarding the cuspal sublord. So for this particular reason, you might want to think about using the cuspal sublord. Now let's move on to these various questions: infertility, miscarriage, abortion, cesarean, childbirth complication, all these various questions. Now for all these there is just a very simple rule in Krishnamurti Paddhati, and that is regarding the 6, 8 and 12. We know that 6, 8 and 12, these houses are deemed to be bad houses. So when you have a planet that is signifying the 2-5-11 or 2-5-5-11, those kind of a combination, and at the same time they are also indicating the 6, 8 and 12, then it creates a complication during the time of the childbirth. And in the case of the pregnant mother's horoscope, if it is also indicating Marak and Badak, then there is a danger to the mother's life. And if it is indicating Marak and Badak from the fifth house, which usually indicates the childbirth, then it indicates the danger to the newborn child. So this is very simple. When the significator 2, 5 and 11, when they appear alongside with the 6, 8 and 12, Marak and Badak, then there is a danger. You will have to delve into a few horoscopes, and then you will have a good picture that how to analyze the 6, 8, 12. Not difficult at all. This is a very simple rule in Krishnamurti Paddhati, and it takes care of so many different issues at the same time. So that's one of the very good simplicity that you have in Krishnamurti Paddhati. Now, regarding the gender determination, whether the child is going to be male or child is going to be a female. So I was going through some of the archives of Professor Krishnamurti, and I came across at least one note from the professor where he himself has mentioned that the editor is of opinion that one has to gain sound knowledge of vast experience to predict the sex of the child. So far, I means Professor Krishnamurti, have not found one rule which is applicable in all cases. So the male and female question, personally, I don't like to answer this question, and this is a very this question is I would say in a very bad taste. So at least when this example horoscope came to me, this question was never asked. So, and apart from that, you see that professor has already mentioned. So it is up to you. There are rules, but I'm not going to discuss those rules of male and female. And then another thing is that will the newborn baby bring the good luck? Okay, this is also a very simple this thing. If when a newborn baby is born, and after that, maybe 6 months, 8 months, or year after that, if in the horoscope of the father or the mother, if you have this kind of a combination, which usually indicates the inflow of money, material prosperity, then you will usually hear people saying, oh, this newborn baby has brought good fortune or good luck or even good money to the parents. But this is reflected in the horoscope of the mother or the father. So very simple, whether the newborn will bring good luck or not. So very simple KP rule that you can apply. And here you have to look more into the future. From the date of the childbirth, you have to look maybe 6 months, 8 months, or year or 2 years into the future, and look at the horoscope of the mother or the father. And if you find this combination, then you can say. So, but usually, I would personally not like to answer this question. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out was, especially with many of you who have a reasonably good handle on the KP Astrology. In KP, the first child is seen from the 5th. The second is seen from the 7th. The third from the 9th. And this way, because the third house is a younger born. Third house is mostly it is said to be an kind of an expansion also. So the 5th house is for the first child, 7th is for the second, 9th is for the third. I have found this rule to have various complications. This is something that I don't follow, because this kind of a logic also works in the case of the second marriage also. In some of the KP circles, the first marriage is from the 7th house, second marriage is from the 9th house. But if you look at Professor Krishnamurti's note, second marriage is from the second house. And in one of the articles that I was reading from Bhaskaran, Bhaskaran, he has been a disciple of Krishnamurti, and that article was related to a new business, addition of a new business. So he mentioned that the 10th house indicates the first business. 12th house, which is third from the 10th, indicates the additional second new business. So I could not digest that logic, because there are so many industries, they have 20, 30 businesses. Like if you look at Tata's, Ambani's, Birla's. So you can't say that they had their first business from the 10th house and then the next company or the next business they floated happened because of the 12th house, and then another one from the third house. This logic doesn't hold good, and it creates all other kind of issues. So I think, and I stick to this particular thing, that for child related thing, first child, second child, whatever, stillborn child or any number of child, it's the 5th house, always the 5th house. And then of course the DBA, the Dasha will change, the Bhukti will change. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. And this is for Horary also, and this is for the Natal also. Even in Horary, if somebody says that will my second son or daughter achieve this or that or not, I think just focus on the 5th house rather than moving from to the 7th house or the 9th house. That's going to complicate things for you. Now let's take a look at this the example horoscope. And for that, I'm going to put focus on these 2 points, the promise of the childbirth and the denial. That's what we are going to just focus on. So now if you look at this, the signification table, so you will see that there's plenty of 5, 9 to 5 kind of a signification. So it seems like the childbirth seems to be promised in this chart. But if you start applying the rules that are given by Professor Krishnamurti, then the whole picture starts changing. This is the chart of a person that has been trying for the childbirth for past many years without any success. Like I mentioned, apparently, if you look at the planet signification, it indicates that childbirth is promised. And apart from it, if you look at the 5th house signification, there is too many of these 5th house signification that seems to be appearing in this chart. So I'll talk about it in some other horoscope, what exactly this means. But let's look at each of these planets from Ketu to Mercury. We'll have a very close look, and let's see that what these planets actually are going to promise. So Ketu. Now if you look at Ketu, what Ketu is untenanted. So Ketu is very powerful. Untenanted planet, needs a very special close look. They become the self-significator and their power increases many times. So Ketu is a untenanted planet, and Ketu is in the star of Moon, which indicates 5-9, and then in the sub of Jupiter, which indicates 5-2. So apparently it indicates that the childbirth is promised. But if you look at the rule where the childbirth denial rule that professor has mentioned, then you will find that it says that Ketu, Mars, Rahu, these are abortive planets. The moment they get additional support from the barren signs or barren star lords, then they are not going to promise positive results. And what are the barren signs? The Aries is there, Gemini is there, Leo is there, and Virgo is there. So let me let me highlight these the planets which are in the barren sign. So we know that Ketu is in Virgo, right? So Ketu is in a barren sign. And then Venus is also in a barren. Ketu is in Virgo, which is barren. Venus is also barren. Moon is also barren. And then Mars is also barren. So when you start reading the Ketu, then you see abortive planet Ketu deposited in a barren sign in the star of Moon, that itself is again deposited in the barren sign. So this is not a yoga for a fruitful childbirth. And it indicates that an attempt will be made. See this 5-9 signification, it indicates that an attempt will be made during the Ketu Bhukti or Antardasha, but that attempt is not going to be fruitful. The mother is not going to conceive. It's going to be a miscarriage, that kind of thing. Now let's look at the Venus. So Venus here, you see Venus is indicating the 12th house, which is not good for childbirth. And here also the 12th house. Here it is indicating the 10th house, which is not good for the childbirth. And on top of it, Venus is in the Aries, which is a barren sign, and it is deposited in its own star. So this is also a barren sign. So Venus is also not promising at all. And let's look at the Sun. So if you look at Sun is in the star of Moon and sub of Moon. And Moon, we have already noticed that Moon, though it indicates 5959, but being in a barren Aries, it is again not fruitful. This particular combination, it only means that an attempt will be made, but the matter will go on rocks. It's not going to be successful. Then let's look at the Moon. Moon is in the star of Venus, which is in a barren sign, and then the sublord is also not supporting. It's the same. Moon sublord is Moon, and Moon we have seen is in a barren sign. Now let's look at Mars. Mars, by its nature, when it comes to the childbirth, is not a very supportive planet according to the professor, but Mars looks somewhat promising. It is indicating 5 and 2 over here, and the sublord is Jupiter, which is a Santan Karak, and Jupiter is in Pisces, right? So Pisces is a fruitful sign. Right? So Mars looks a little promising, but let me tell you the role of a Rahu over here. You see, this Rahu is the most negative planet when it comes to the childbirth in this chart, because what Rahu is indicating is by Rahu, because of it is occupying the Pisces sign, so it is representing Jupiter. So by representing Jupiter, Rahu is representing the second house and the 5th house. So that seems to be a very strong signification. But the positional strength, you see where Rahu is sitting, it is 12th to the 5th house. So it totally negates. And on top of it, Rahu is an abortive planet. So Rahu gives you a very deceptive kind of a feeling that it is supportive, but it is not. It is not promising any childbirth at all. Then you look at the Jupiter. Jupiter is, here it is very positive. Jupiter we have seen is in Pisces, which is a fruitful sign. Jupiter is Santan Karak, that's also good. Jupiter is untenanted, that's actually very good. And then Jupiter is also a very strong significator of the fifth and the second house. Here, if you look at the second column, then it is indicating the 11th house, but it is in the the sub of Rahu. So Rahu, like I said, has some deceptive role to play here, and but still this particular combination, the Jupiter first column, second, third column looks promising. So Jupiter is one planet which looks promising in this chart. And since Jupiter is the Santan Karak, that's why I'm kind of underlining this fact that Jupiter looks promising also. Then if you look at Saturn, Saturn in column 1 and 2 is not very promising, doesn't indicate any addition of a family member or the fifth house. And then in the last column, the sublord thing, again this sublord is Rahu. So Saturn is also not very promising. And then Mercury, if you look at Mercury, you will find the same story. Mercury is also not very promising at all. So when we were looking at the planet signification, at that time we felt that this chart has a lot of fifth house signification. But when we kind of zoomed in and started taking a note of each of the planets, then we realized that this is telling a very different story. Now, when this chart came to me, at that time, this person was going through this particular period, Mars Ketu. And at that time, this period. And you see, by that time, this person is going to be of 35 years of age. So there was some concern on the side of the parents. That's natural. And this period from May to October, Mars Ketu period. This is when the chart came to me. And Mars Dasha, like I said, looks promising apparently, but it is not. During this Mars period, which started in 2019 and is going to end in 2025, there were few attempts made, but every time it ended in a miscarriage. And even during the Mars Ketu, the same thing happened. If you look at Ketu, it looks promising, like I mentioned, that at the first column, it is indicating the 11th house. Second column for 5 and 9, both are good. And sublord is also strong. But Ketu being an abortive planet in the star of another planet, which is in the abortive barren sign. So Ketu eventually proved not to be successful. Now the Dasha that this person is going to go through is the Mars Venus until December 24, and then it's going to be Mars Sun and then Mars. These are the Dasha, right? These periods. December 4th is already gone, so I would say Mars Sun and Mars Moon. So we already discussed this. The Mars Sun doesn't prove to be very promising, and the Moon also doesn't prove to be very promising at all. And after that, then this person is going to enter into the Rahu period. And by the time Mars period ends, the age is going to be 38 years. So that's also one of the concerns. So, and now in this chart, I found that Jupiter gives some ray of hope. So I told person's mother that the Jupiter mantra, because that's what I usually suggest. Jupiter mantra means Guru mantra, or for the planet Jupiter, that mantra this person has to do, and that's only the remedy I see. And hopefully, because astrologers are not God, so they can only say what their experience is. And since I saw this ray of hope, and I'm a very firm believer of modern science and technology, so I did tell her to keep consulting the uh, uh, gynecologist, and at the same time should consider the recitation of the Guru mantra. So that's all in this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks for watching.